Now, one of the most important things, of course, if you do photography, is make sure you're comfortable. And it goes without saying that if it's cold outside, that you wear a coat, right? But you should also wear gloves. Now, there are many different kinds of gloves. Now, a while ago, I did a workshop for Camera Nu in the ice sculptures. And one of the biggest problems I had at the first day, I didn't bring the right gloves. They told me it was minus 15 centigrade. Don't worry. And that's pretty cold. The problem was that the gloves that I had with me were actually wool. And they're very nice and warm. But as soon as they became wet, I was in deep trouble because it literally hurt after about 15 minutes. So the next day I took out the gloves and I realized those gloves weren't that good because I couldn't operate my camera pretty well and I couldn't touch my iPhone well. They have this tactical stuff on the finger so you can touch your iPhone, but try to find those small buttons. It just doesn't work. So online I got the tip for these gloves and we got them in and I can tell you now, these rock. Because outside you want to be able to control your camera. And of course you can do it like this. That's okay. But it's way better to just open it up. And now you can operate your camera like this. And there's a little magnet here that will actually make sure that it stays there. And of course you can close it up if it's too cold. And the same thing for your iPhone. Most of the time you use your index finger on your iPhone. So open up the glove and use the index finger. Now we also do video, of course, like the vlogs. And this button is a little bit small on the Sony. And that's why you can also open up the thumb. Awesome, right? But there's way more. But it's a little bit cold. So let's get inside and I'm going to show you the product more in detail. Okay, we're back in the studio and it's much warmer here. And let's take a look at the gloves. Okay, so it looks like pretty normal gloves. But as you saw outside, you can actually open up the thumb and your index finger. Now, normally they would fall back, not with these, because you have little magnets in here and it will actually stick. So you have no problems that by accident you get yourself stuck on something because your fingers snap back. So really cool, handy solution. This part you can also use to wipe off your lens. And you have this little zipper where you can put in a lens cloth or a compact flash card or a secure digital card or whatever you want to put in there. Now, make sure that if you buy gloves like this, you buy them in the correct size, because there's nothing more frustrating than gloves that are too tight, because that's actually very uncomfortable, or gloves that are too large, because that's also very uncomfortable. These gloves you can get in several sizes, so make sure on their website you check out which size is yours. And one final thing, and I found that incredibly important in gloves, and over the years I've had many photography gloves and they all ended up in the bin or used for something else for the very simple reason they didn't have a sticky surface. Now, why is that sticky surface so important? You don't want to drop your camera, and especially when it's cold. And let's be honest, gloves protect for a very long time, but in the end you will lose some feeling in your hands because it is cold outside. And you will lose some of that feeling, and before you know it, your camera's on the floor. So make sure if you get gloves that they're actually sticky on the inside, and make sure that this is very tight, because especially when you're in the cold or in the snow and water drips in, it's terrible, guys, trust me. Okay, so check out their website. They come in this package, and we're going to show you the website down here. I highly recommend the gloves. They're not cheap, but I think that for good gloves, you should spend some money. Now, some people online actually claimed like, okay, they're really nice, but they miss something, and that's the tactical part. So where you can actually, of conductive part it is, where you can touch your iPhone and actually do some stuff on your iPhone with the gloves on. At first I agreed with those comments for the very simple reason there are many gloves out there that have that tactical stuff. However, if you think about it, you don't really need it. Why should you bother with the big fingers putting on the small icons if you can just very quickly just make your index finger open and just use your index finger? And if you really want the conductive part, just get one of those buttons that you can put on and there you go. So, if you want warm gloves for the winter, and I believe they're up to minus 15 degrees Celsius. Really check them out. I really like them, and well, don't know what else to tell you about gloves. They're awesome.